Good job. So, I guess one thing to remember is that this all costs money, but it does pay for itself over time. We do have people out there from the PACE district that can help people with financing of these options if you're interested in it, so you don't have to do it all by yourself. So with that, let's go to Generators 101. We have our staff in Pinecrest who are experts on this, at least in Pinecrest, and they're going to tell you how to get it done here. Tom Flingos, Paul Butler, and Pat Janice. Butler, I'm sorry. The floor is yours. That's a left.
Yeah, again, I'm Paul Buckler. I'm Assistant Building Official. Tom Flingos, he's our Chief Electrical. And this is Pat Janice, our planner. And we sort of are the dream team for if you're going to get a permit for a generator, we will go through all three of us. I more or less just fee it. And the plumber's not here for gas, but I think we can answer any questions. Other than screening, as far as generators go, we follow NFPA and NEC. There's nothing, a lot of people keep asking if there's something Pinecrest centric. There really is not. What's very Pinecrest is we actually just follow what's in the code, and we don't embellish it or undercut it. So really is the Q&A. If anyone has any questions or you guys have anything you want to anecdotally add first?
I think we probably have per household as many generators as any city in the country due to the fact we have a lot of wells. And without power, you can't even hardly live in the house because you just can't use the house. So we've had a lot of generators go in since 2007, which is when I believe the costs came down. Most of the generators are gas. We have maybe 15 to 20% that are diesel. When you put a gas generator in, then you have to put in gas tanks and all the associated things. With a diesel, you can buy them with a UL listed fuel tank below the generator and set it in place. We have a 5-foot minimum setback from the side set, right? The side property line and the rear property line.
Correct, but depending on the noise level of the unit, it can have a greater setback. So try to buy one that has a 65 dBA or less, and then you'll be able to tuck it in the back.
Yeah, part of the process when you submit for a generator is you submit the cut sheet from the manufacturer, and that has all the critical information about the decibel rating of it. That'll work backward. And then what do we call it? We require more or less just the site plan, identify where the generator is going to go, and if you're using an LP system, where the tanks are going to go. And then the electricians or the solar contractor does the calculations.
Right. And you do require a 10-foot clearance from the exhaust to any opening. Openings in the eave, windows, doors, anything other than a fixed window that can't open. You need 10 feet. I believe we changed the zoning code. We now allow generators to go on the house by the manufacturer's recommendation distance. We used to require 5 feet, but that was just amended because it helps to get that noise level down so the generator didn't have to be quite as quiet because we're concerned with the neighbors and keeping the noise level down so they're not complaining about the noise. And
if they don't have a generator after the storm, they'll be able to hear it.
Right, exactly. And they'll be happy if they can use some of the power. So, but the cost has really come down. We have a lot of generators going in. Our process, what does it take us? A week?
Right. I mean, technically it's 21 days, but it rarely takes that unless there's zoning considerations. So a lot of times if you're planning on a generator, it's good to call ahead of time and get any information on the setbacks.
We don't require a building permit. We require an electrical permit, and if there's gas, a plumbing or a gas permit.
And the only other consideration is if you're in a FEMA zone, we do require that the slab be at the base flood elevation plus what they call a foot of freeboard. That way, if there's any flooding, you're not generating power directly into the water. So.
Do you have an idea what the approximate cost is of permitting
Yeah.
for typical?
Oh, for permitting?
Yeah.
The permit cost is the minimum permit fee here, which is the same for a generator, $146.65, plus the state fee, I think it's $220 and $220, and then 60 cents per every $1,000 of value for the county.
Right, if you do an LP system, it's probably, for both permits, you're close to about $300 or a little bit over that.
Thank you. I have a question. So, Tom, could you explain to us, is there a simple way if somebody has a drinking water well and they want to just have a generator for that? Is there something they can do to buy and work out and have that done?
You can also use portable generators. You don't have to have a standby generator. The critical part is, even if you have a portable generator where you're not using extension cords, tying these generators into the house is deadly if it isn't connected correctly. You want to have a transfer switch, or there's other options now. The manufacturers of electrical panels have come up with these, they call it a mechanical interlock. And you can make it so that you can't turn that receptacle on for your portable generator unless the main breaker's off. If the main breaker's on and you connect the generator and it puts power on your house, feeds through the meter, goes back to the FPL transformer, it will step it up to thousands of volts. And in one of the storms, I think it was Wilma or Rita, one of them, we had some FPL linemen almost killed because somebody hooked the generator up wrong. So that's really important, but it's a simple thing to put a receptacle, connect it to the panel, make it safe. You can plug in a 4,000 watt, a 3,000 watt, and then turn your breakers off and just turn on the things you need and manage your loads, we call it. So that's a good option.
Just a question, for small generators, you also need a permit?
No, not if it's
For
not
portable.
permanently. It's
For portable,
For
right.
portable, no.
Well, you would need a permit to do the plug on the wall.
Yes.
Whatever you're doing
Absolutely.
at your house.
But if you're gonna feed it through your
already have
panel. But if it's just a generator with an extension cord, then you don't need it.
That permit is so important. I'm your protection. And I work for everybody here. So when I come out and I fail people and I work good with everybody, I always tell them, look, I'm working for you. I'm your representative. So the permit's really important so that we make sure they get it right and you're safe in your house.
Do you know where can we look up these mechanical interlock outlets that you're?
If you, as a matter of fact, Home Depot has them, but when I get to people's homes and they ask me about it, I put in there mechanical interlocks, you know, and it'll bring up a page full of these things. And there's all different types. And they're easy to install.
How about, for generator sheds, I've seen all kinds of weird sheds in my neighborhood. Is there a zoning issue or building code issue with having a shed that wraps around a gas-powered portable generator that people build just temporarily, house a generator, roll it out there, keep it there? Is
Well,
that-
a shed
like
would,
an open-air shed, like,
a shed would have to meet the setback requirements, which is zoning, and there's no restriction about keeping a generator in one.
Right.
So you're good there.
just have to meet the minimum square footage requirements and that kind of thing.
Right,
Would be a shed.
setbacks, heights, and all that kind of stuff. But you're talking just storing your shed in there?
Or even having it added to the dwelling, like, you know, as a part of the dwelling, but not, you know, completely detached, you know what I mean? It's like a sort of a lean-to shed. Is that something that you've seen ever done?
I don't know if
You've got to be
I'm
5
allowed
feet
to
from
two
the
sheds
house.
in Pinecrest.
Assuming you've got to be about 5 or 10 feet from the house.
Yeah, 10 feet from the
10 feet,
house
10 feet,
and usually 20 feet from the side,
It
it
can't be
depends.
attached, yeah.
Right, you,
Those ones you get and you like piece them together,
I don't want to know about that.
okay. I mean,
But if it's something permanent, we need a certain place on the property with setbacks and all that.
my understanding is if you buy those like plastic ones that just, you know, snap together, those little
Right.
tiny things, I don't believe you need a permit for that because it's portable.
I see.
But if it's something permanent, absolutely it has to be permanent. Yes?
So it has to be 10 foot from the house, and that's included if it's a natural gas generator?
The generators have to meet the manufacturer's recommendation, which most of them, it's 18 to 30 inches.
Oh,
I was talking about a structure needed
Just talking about a
that's separated.
structure.
The
If you,
generator
if you
doesn't.
build any kind of a structure, then, or, like a shed has to have a setback. But a generator, we amended the zoning code to allow them to get them closer to the house.
But what about but they still have to meet the distance for exhaust.
10 feet for the exhaust, that's national mechanical code. So if you have an exhaust pipe or the end of the generator, the exhaust blows out that end, a window, a door, a vent in the eave, you can't have that within 10 feet so that you don't end up with CO gas in the house.
so you'd have your generator near the house and then a pipe running 10 feet?
No, you
down?
just pick a spot where there's no windows. We really don't have a
Or
problem.
sometimes people come and they'll block up roof, soffit vents.
Right.
Or if you have a fixed window, it's okay. It's
Right.
just if you have an operable window or anyway. So, but that's, one is the proximity of the equipment to the house, which is defined by the manufacturer. And then the code has the 10-foot
The mechanical.
from the exhaust to any opening in the house.
And if it has an exhaust pipe, if it's that style, yes, you could vent it away and get your 10 feet that way. Most of the generators now, they exhaust them through the radiator, through the fan. I guess it makes them quieter, so they don't actually have a pipe coming out of them. Not all of them, but most, especially the Generacs and the Briggs and all of those. You don't see an exhaust pipe.
Can you just relate any problems that customers in Pinecrest have run into with these whole house generators and a fuel source that's either above or below the ground? We don't have natural gas in Pinecrest, am I right?
Limited. There are some
There's some.
places, but it's not a lot. We haven't had any issues. We're very strict with how they install the gas tanks below ground. And they have to give us calculations and everything to make sure they're not going to float up. The above ground, I think they just set on slabs, but they're really heavy. And I don't think we've ever had an issue.
No, I think we've had, on occasion, one maybe float up if it wasn't,
Right.
installed properly. Sometimes when we have contractors that come from outside Dade County, some other parts where the water table is much lower, they don't have an issue, so they could use augers. But pretty much here, you have to pour a slab or put in precast slabs to anchor the tanks underground.
Yeah, so, but as far as problems, I don't recall really.
One problem that I hear you mention is sometimes people put in a generator and they don't think about it again until a storm comes, and then they find that it doesn't start. So one thing is people I think are getting better on is running the generators periodically, and then Tom pointed out earlier, I'm stealing your thunder here, to not just run the generator, but to make sure it transfers to the house and you power the house. Because Tom is going to explain again. You want to tell your...
What happens is the generator engine might crank and run just fine. Doesn't mean it's generating electricity. So if you don't, every once in a while, simulate a power failure, make it pick the house up and make sure it's operating right. South Miami Hospital has 8 generators. And this is a little ways back. They had a problem with a FPL feeder. 6 of the 8 generators didn't come online. Now, luckily they have staff. They were able to go in a hurry, transfer them all manually and make them work. So it's really important to have a maintenance contract if you have a permanent generator. That's really important. And make sure they transfer the load. It doesn't have to be every week, but at least once a month. I think after this last storm, we probably had 20% of the generators that didn't operate because they had been sitting there for years.
And are you talking about the whole house
Yes,
generators?
permanently installed automatic transfer generators. They take maintenance just like your car. And the little portable generators also. How many people get them? They buy them, they run to Home Depot, get them, works great, put it in the garage. 5 years later, here comes a storm. Oh my God, won't start. everything in the things, you know, dried out because they require maintenance too, so.
May I ask another question?
Sure.
I know that you don't support one company or product over another, but have you found that some are faulty in your experience?
Back when we first started seeing a lot of generator installations, there was a company, Guardian. There was a lot of problems, but I believe they were either, I'm not 100% sure if they were bought out by Generac or they changed, but we don't see those problems anymore, and I just think it's because it was all so new. I don't think anybody was thinking of these generators to start up and run for weeks.
My impression is most people put in Generac now too.
That's like the favorite generator, and I don't hear complaints. Briggs makes one, Kohler makes them, and there's a lot of companies. But I think Generac is probably the most popular, the one I see the most of.
Oh, yeah, Generac both Guardian.
I'm sorry?
Generac is the owner now, Guardian.
Okay, so that's what happened, because I know Guardian had some issues, and they fixed them. And they used to run at a very high RPM, so when they would start up, man, you'd think you were in the Daytona 500. Those things would run so loud and hard. Now they've lowered the RPM, because it would just, the oil would just disintegrate after, you know, a week straight of running. And that was what I was told was the problem, but I understand it's all been fixed. From what I understand, they have, you know, we have a lot more technology now with the, you know, digital inputting of everything and computers, and those things monitor themselves.
Has there ever been any technology that you're aware of on biodiesel being used for generators, or?
I would imagine that if you have a diesel generator, it would run on bio. I mean, I can't see why it wouldn't.
With some retrofitting, I'm sure.
I would think so. Sure.
For the meter portable ones, which models have you come across?
We don't get involved with the portable ones.
The portable ones? I see them all the way from Honda to Briggs to, you know, Craftsman.
Just the diesel fuel goes bad after a while.
Yes.
So if you have a 500-gallon tank of diesel,
Right.
it may be completely useless when
Right.
you need it.
That's why a maintenance contract is essential, because we have one installer here that does diesel generators. And what he told me he does under the contract that he has, every so often, he replaces that diesel. Or they put additives in it, or they do whatever they have to do. Because yes, absolutely, it gets water in it, and it goes bad.
It ruins like every apocalypse movie when a year later they get in a car and drive off. You know, so.
I was trying to read up on generators a little bit, and they're standby and portable, but they mentioned an inverter generator.
An inverter is, if you had a bank of batteries, you could connect an inverter to them, and it changes it from DC to AC. So that's only as good as how much battery, like if you have a Tesla wall and you have solar panels, inverters change it from DC to AC. So they have them built in, the inverters.
That's not exactly, I don't think that was what she was asking about. There's the Honda, there's certain manufacturers now that make lower power generators, and they vary the RPMs based on the load. So when there's not a lot of load, the generator slows down, and it puts out just only enough power to what is actually needed, and it makes the fuel last longer.
Okay.
So you see a lot of these 2,000-watt inverter generators that are like good for refrigerator and fan.
Right.
I think that was what was being talked
Okay.
about.
If that's what you're looking at, but that's a separate thing, then that's actually a generator.
Right, this was a type of generator.
Okay, I'm not familiar with those.
Could I ask also, you can have a natural gas one or diesel or regular gas. Are they all the same volume when they're running? Are they all noisy?
They're all noisy, but they use different, the fuel consumption is different. So you have to look at an LP, how many gallons an hour, a diesel, to kilowatt, natural gas, they all burn different amounts of fuel to put out the same amount of energy.
All right, good work, thank you.
Thank you.